We work with families who are, um, looking to get connected to a care manager to get assistance with really different areas of needs. So the program itself is a Medicaid funded program through the state, and it's a voluntary program. And we really strive to stand behind the client-centered, family-driven focus of the program. So we work with those families that are really looking to get that help and support. It's nothing that we're going to force anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. We work with them at their pace and what they're really willing to address at the time. We typically have in our program members who are eligible based on having a serious emotional disturbance or a serious behavioral health diagnoses. That's the majority of the population. However, we do also serve members who are eligible based on having physical health chronic conditions that they kind of just need a little bit extra help with. So what we do is really get them, make sure that they're connected to all the necessary providers, primary care, dental care, specialty providers, and making sure that the families are, following through with making sure that they're attending appointments, asking any questions or concerns they have for their child. We really advocate and, make sure that if there's any concerns that those are addressed. We work with the families to complete assessments that develop a plan of care. So we really work off of that and make sure that all of their goals that they're identifying are being worked on by those who are identified to be involved with that child. So really the child's care team is what we call it. So we work collaboratively with those care team members, whether it's providers, social supports, family members, as well as the youth, to really, address any gaps in care and address any needs. As Richard had mentioned, I myself am located in the Albany, the main campus office, and I have one care manager out of our Albany office as well. And we work with families in Albany, Schenectady, Columbia, Rensselaer. I might be missing one or two, but those are the active families we have right now out of the Albany office. And then we also have a care manager up in the Hudson Falls satellite office. So she works with families who are in Washington, Warren, and Saratoga counties. And then we also are contracted with a school in Johnstown, like Richard mentioned, it's Adirondack Academy. So it's an alternative educational program. And we've embedded a care manager directly in the school, and they've really reported being very appreciative of that extra support for those students. So we are hopefully looking to expand our services in all of our areas and continue to grow our program and definitely spread the work that we do.
One of the things I really appreciate about St. Anne's over the last few years is that we have been more flexible and creative and responsive to community need for services. And so for the Hudson Falls office, for example, a few years back, we were in a pretty small space and we had a very small staff, and we had ended up doubling in size and, ended up with a larger office space, and being able to accommodate many more clients because there was such a need in the Hudson Falls area for Warren and Washington counties. We were actually having clients come from Clinton, Franklin, and Essex counties as well. Clients were traveling an hour and a half to our office for services because we were the closest provider of the services that they needed. So really, we have been trying to make services accessible as much as possible for people in the community, especially in rural areas where they're fewer and far between.
We are, client-centered and family-driven. So we really strive to make sure that the families are connected to their providers of choice, their preference. So even if it's, working with multiple different agencies or different, providers in different areas, we do whatever we can to make sure everybody's on the same page and talking and ultimately working to meet together to meet the needs of that child and the family.
I just wanted to emphasize that the great need for expanding our services. And, one of the reasons that we're reaching out is, to really get people interested in not only St. Anne, but the new services that can be provided and Kaylin will be talking more about what the CFTSS. We have a lot of acronyms with Children and Family Treatment and Support Services that we're really working to expand, and that Tiffany is part of. Rachel's been a part of offering those services, and Kaylin and her, the Hudson Falls office in particular. We're really looking to expand that. So that's part of why we wanted to really talk to you today and let people know things are changing, that there's some areas that are really exciting, that are growing. But I think each person will speak to their own experience in those programs. But I just, again, what Rosa and Kaylin were saying, the great need, not only in the cities, but the rural areas in particular, because of the lack of resources.
But so the overarching umbrella is the Children and Family Treatment and Support Services. And then there are some other acronyms that fall under that. One of them being OLP, which is Other Licensed Practitioner. That's primarily the services that we're providing right now. It's another avenue for people to be able to access therapy services, mental health services, in individual and group format. The eligibility is just that the clients are under the age of 21 right now, and enrolled in Medicaid, and who have a need for help with either social, emotional, or behavioral health challenges, or who need help with a substance use issue. And so right now we are primarily doing the OLP. However, we can also provide PSR and CPST. PSR stands for psychosocial rehabilitation, and CPST, I'm going to not mess it up, community psychiatric supports and treatment. And so really the focus of the CPST and PSR services is to kind of piggyback on the OLP. So the things that you are learning and practicing in therapy, working on, it can also be practiced in the community with some guidance and support. And so we're, really excited about being able to offer these services and, expand availability to people in the community. We are hoping to grow the CPST and PSR portion of our services more. I think right now, primarily the issue is just, having enough staff to be able to address the community needs, because the need is certainly there in the community we're seeing, but making sure that, we can adequately meet the needs of those clients right now.
So with the CPST, because I'm working towards licensure right now, I was able to provide some family therapy. And so since I am in the clinical prevention program, which we mentioned before is based on focusing on problematic sexual behaviors and also victims of sexual abuse in the community. And so we can get referrals through this, and it kind of provides a little bit more flexibility, because the other program is through the county, but this other service kind of allows us to take on more clients and more people in the community that still have that need. And you're able to provide weekly or bi-weekly services. So it's a little bit more flexible for families, because it can be a bit of a commitment to come in every week, especially I believe some of the families are driving up to an hour here. It was definitely a really positive experience. And I definitely think that that's something that the community certainly could use, and I would love to see grow, and hopefully we can get some more staff here to help grow that.
And your work was a lot with it was a smaller child, so it was work with the parents and really doing supportive work around feeling safe and comfortable making decisions with their daughter. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes, and I was able to incorporate some art therapy into that as well, which was nice. So yeah, it was mostly just supporting a family and making a really difficult decision. It was related to sex abuse. So it was just a way to reach families that maybe kind of get left out. So I really think it's an important service that we have. And sometimes in my referrals, I even work with victims and children that act out can be within the same family. So I've actually worked with families where that's the case. And so that kind of provides a really unique experience where you're able to take a whole family approach and really be able to do full family healing instead of just treating one or the other. So it's definitely a unique experience that I think that you can get at St. Anne's. And just such a great place to learn and really be able to work with these kind of families. And it's something that is so needed and I hope can really grow.
I just wanted to add to that, we do work with adults who have had offenses. And one of the things that we do is we really differentiate between the youth and the adults that come in through the program, and how we approach, because it's very, it's defined by developmental needs. And I'm sure people, Rachel and Tiffany and Kaylin and Alexa could speak to this as well. So, we've made a really conscious choice to talk about youth who have sexually, with sexual behaviors, because a behavior is not the person. And we also do that with our adult program. We work on languaging people moving forward, making changes, because that's what we do, right? We're looking to, it's prevention, it's community safety, and it's working individually with people to change behaviors and to have goals and to move forward and with a positive quality life. So I just, just speaking to that, again, we always talk about youth with problematic sexual behaviors, because it's really important to put that behavior on the end of that, right? It's so just wanted to add that.
And just to piggyback off of that, I know coming in as an intern, I was really surprised to learn that St. Anne's worked with kind of both ends of, victims, as well as children who have acted out, adults who have had inappropriate sexual behaviors. But, as I kind of learned and grew at St. Anne's, I have learned, there's what we all want ultimately is community safety. We want people to not be harmed, right? We want everyone to be safe and comfortable. And so it sort of is this idea that, how could you possibly say that you are helping to prevent sexual abuse without working with individuals who have committed some of that harm, and trying to ensure that they're able to make different choices in the future, and not harm anyone else again, even if they have made some bad choices previously. So being able to take that perspective, and it's just something you can't avoid. It's not a black and white issue. It's something that can be really taboo to talk about. So then for us to talk about it and say, we provide these services, can be kind of shocking to people. But when you really get down to, the community need and the reality, I think Rachel's situation, where there was a victim and a child in the family who had acted out as well, is a really common one. And it's not something you usually picture when you talk about this topic. So it's so important that both sides of that get addressed if we are wanting to keep people safe and, heal and move forward.